This video is kindly brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to create a beautiful online presence.
Hi, my name's Janelle and welcome back to Rosery Apparel. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 quick and easy sewing projects. These sewing projects are the perfect kind of thing that you can just whip up in a day or in a cozy crafternoon, and are also really great projects for beginners and are also great for using up some of your fabric scraps that you might have lying around. I have shared quite a number of these types of videos on my channel throughout the years, and I'll be sure to leave the entire playlist down in the description below. So yeah, if you want even more sewing projects than just what's in this video, you can go and check those out. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it and let me show you 5 super easy and quick sewing projects. First up, let me show you how to make this handy Hessian shopping bag. For this project, you'll need about 1 meter or 1 yard of Hessian and about 1/4 meter or yard of sturdy contrasting fabric. For my bag, I'm using this stunning linen fabric that is actually a tablecloth, and the Hessian I'm using is a laminated Hessian, which basically just has a coating on the back to give the Hessian a good amount of structure and sturdiness. Start by cutting out 2 rectangles from your Hessian that measure 38 centimeters by 45 centimeters and 1 rectangle that measures 121 centimeters by 25 centimeters. I'm only going to be using centimeters for this project, as the measurements for this bag need to be really accurate in order for all of the pieces to fit together. Then also cut out 2 rectangles from your contrasting fabric that measure 130 centimeters by 6 centimeters. Take the contrasting rectangles and fold and press the long edges in by about 1 centimeter. Then fold the rectangles in half lengthways and stitch the folded edges in place like this. These are going to be the straps for the bag. Next, take the 2 matching Hessian rectangles and fold one of the longer edges in by about 1 centimeter twice. The laminated Hessian makes it so you're able to fold it in place and it roughly stays where it is folded, similar to cardboard. However, I do recommend using some sewing clips if you have them to keep the folds in place, as pins might struggle a little bit to pierce through the folded layers. Stitch the folded edges of both Hessian rectangles in place like this. Next, pin the straps to the Hessian rectangles using the following measurements to ensure that the straps are placed nicely in the center. Stitch the straps in place, reinforcing them with a cross at the top like this. And your 2 Hessian rectangles should now look like this. Next, take the long Hessian rectangle and fold the shorter ends in by about 1 centimeter twice, exactly like we did for the other Hessian rectangles. Stitch these folded edges in place like this. Next, fold the longer edges in by about 1 centimeter twice as well, however do not stitch these folded edges in place just yet. Take the Hessian rectangles with the straps and place the raw edges into the newly folded edge of the longer rectangle. Again, I recommend using some sewing clips to keep all of the layers in place. This does get a little bit fiddly to do at the corners, but just fold the longer rectangle in order to be able to keep placing the raw edges into the folded edge. Then stitch the hessian layers together along the folded edge like this. Then repeat this for the other hessian rectangle. And your super handy hessian shopping bag is complete. Before we get on to the next sewing project, let's just take a quick break to talk about the sponsor of this video. This video has been very kindly sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to create a beautiful online presence and launch your passion project. Whether you'd like to start making and selling your own products, create a beautiful portfolio to showcase your work, write a blog, or simply create any website of any kind, you can design and create your dream website all by yourself with Squarespace. Squarespace make creating a beautiful and aesthetic website so stress-free and easy with so many beautiful templates to choose from. And once you've selected your template, you can then customize the template as much or as little as you like. You can change everything from the overall layout of the website to all the fun things like the fonts and colors with just a few clicks. No background or knowledge needed in coding whatsoever. I have personally been using Squarespace to run the Rosery Apparel website and online store since 2016, and on my website, I sell both physical and digital products, and Squarespace made it so easy to start selling online with integrated search engine optimization, which basically helps your customers find your products when they are searching online. And Squarespace also makes it super easy on the back end of your website to add different product options such as sizing or color, which ultimately just makes the whole shopping experience for your customers as seamless and smooth as possible. So if you'd like to create an impactful and beautiful website of your own, then I totally recommend you go and check out Squarespace using the link in the description below this video and take advantage of their free trial so you can test out just how easy it is to use for yourself. And then when you're ready to launch your beautiful new website, head to squarespace.com/roseryapparel for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much, Squarespace, for being such an amazing supporter of my channel and for sponsoring this video. And yeah, let's get back to the sewing projects. Next up, let me show you how to make this adorable wavy pot holder. For this project, you will need a main and lining fabric, both of which must have a natural composition such as cotton or linen. You will also need some wadding or batting, again of a natural composition. You will need about 3/4 of a meter or yard of contrasting wide bias binding, and I'll make sure to have a link to a video in the description below about how you can make your own. And you will also need a copy of the free template I have made just for this project. Again, you can find a link to that down in the description. Start by cutting a square that measures 27 by 27 centimeters or 10.5 by 10.5 inches from your main lining and wadding fabric. Then with the right sides of your fabric facing outwards, place the wadding fabric onto your lining fabric and then place your main fabric on top. Pin all of these layers together, and the more pins you use, the more secure your layers will be, so I recommend using lots and lots of pins. Stitch the layers together, sewing diagonally from one corner to the other like this. I found it best to start at the center, sewing from one corner to the other, and then line the presser foot of your sewing machine along the previous row of stitches to ensure that all of the rows of stitches are nice and straight and an equal distance apart. Once all of the layers are nicely stitched together, cut out the wavy pot holder template. Next, take the wide bias binding and fold and press one of the raw ends in like this. Then open up the folded edge of the bias binding and line the raw edge of the binding with the raw edge of the pot holder. Carefully stitch this folded edge of bias binding in place, making sure to stitch along the crease line of the bias binding. Then once stitched all the way around, cut away the excess bias binding, and then fold the bias binding towards the back of the pot holder. Next, stitch the folded bias binding in place, stitching in the ditch of the bias binding seam along the front, making sure that the bias binding on the other side of the pot holder is being stitched in place as you sew. And your adorable wavy pot holder is complete. Here is a little look at the other side. You could definitely use a matching thread in your bobbin to make the stitching look a lot less noticeable if you like. Next up, let me show you how to make some adorable fabric bows. For this project, you will again need to download the free template that I've made, and this project works best with a mid-weight woven fabric such as cotton or linen. Start by cutting out the template pieces from your fabric, and then with the right sides of the fabric facing, start by folding the main body and the tie pieces in half lengthways. Then stitch them like this, making sure to leave an opening at the center of the tie to be able to turn it right side out. Once stitched, trim away the excess fabric and turn both pieces right side out. The tie is a little bit fiddly to turn right side out, so I recommend using something like a dull knitting needle to push the points out. Next, press the pieces flat with an iron and make sure to press the main body rectangle in a way so that the seam is at the center. Next, with the seam facing out, which for some reason I have it back to front here, fold the main body rectangle in half and stitch the shorter ends together like this. Then turn the rectangle right side out so that the new seam is on the inside. Next, take the small square centerpiece and fold two of the opposite ends in by about 1 centimeter or half an inch. Then with the right sides of the fabric facing, fold the square in half the other way and stitch it in place like this. Next, turn this tiny rectangle tube right side out. Press it so that the seam is in the center like this. And so now we have all the pieces to make up the bow. Take the tie piece and fold it into a point at the center like this. Then take the main body rectangle and fold it in half, and then match the folded edges to the center fold, which once pinched together in the center should create a bow shape. To attach the bow to the ties, take some thread in a matching color to your fabric, and then wind the thread around the two pieces to join them together. Then lastly, take the centerpiece and place it around the thread where the two pieces are joined together. And then using a matching thread, stitch the folded edges of the centerpiece together at the back of the bow. And your adorable fabric bow is complete. Next up, let's make a cute lace coin purse. Again, use the template I've made, which is linked in the description below, and cut out 2 semicircles from your main fabric and 2 from a lining fabric. For this project, you will also need about 1/2 meter or 1/2 yard of lace trim and an 18 centimeter or 7-inch zip. With the right sides of the fabric together, sandwich the zip in between the lining and main fabric semicircles. Stitch the layers together like this. I recommend putting a zipper foot on your sewing machine for this project, as it will make it a lot easier to work around the zipper toggle. Next, fold the fabric so that they are right side out and press the seams flat. Top stitch the layers in place, making sure to start and stop about 1 centimeter in like this. Then repeat this for the other side of the zip. And it should now look like this on the outside and like this on the inside. Next, open up the zip about 3/4 of the way and fold the layers so that the fabrics match. Stitch around the coin purse, leaving a small opening on the lining side like this. Trim away the excess fabric and carefully clip along the curved edge. Then use the small opening to turn the coin purse right side out. Lastly, stitch the small opening on the lining side closed. And your adorable lace coin purse is complete. Lastly, let me show you how to make a pleated draft stopper. Start by cutting out 2 rectangles from a mid to heavyweight fabric that measure 100 centimeters or 39.5 inches by 10 centimeters or 4 inches. And also cut 2 long skinny rectangles that measure 250 centimeters or 98.5 inches by 8 centimeters or 3 inches. Take the long skinny rectangles and with right sides together, fold and stitch the shorter ends in half like this. Then fold them so that they are right side out and press the fabric rectangles in half. Next, pleat these long rectangles by folding and tucking the fabric in behind itself and pin the folds as you make them. The folds should be around 1 to 2 centimeters or about 3/4 of an inch big. Then stitch these folded pleats in place. Once you're done, your fabric rectangles should now look like this and should also be approximately the same length as the other fabric rectangles we cut out earlier. Speaking of which, take those other folded rectangles and fold and press the shorter ends in by about 1 centimeter or half an inch. Then with right sides together, sandwich the pleated rectangles between the other fabric rectangles, matching the raw edges together. Stitch the layers together along the raw edge like this. Then repeat this for the other side. And then once turned right side out, your draft stopper should now look like this. Stitch one of the folded ends together like this. Then use the opening on the other side to fill the draft stopper with rice. I definitely recommend you use a funnel for this part so you don't get rice all over the place. Once the draft stopper is filled, stitch the other folded end together to enclose all of the rice onto the inside. And your pleated draft stopper is now complete. I love how just by adding some pleats to this draft stopper has turned such an ordinary object into something just a little bit special. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you're now inspired to have a go at sewing some of these sewing projects for yourself. If you do happen to have a go at making any of these projects, then I would love to see them. So be sure to tag me at Rosery Apparel when you share your photos on your socials. If you did enjoy this video, it would really mean a lot to me if you could give it a like, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already for more sewing type videos like this one. Have a lovely day and thanks for watching.